everybody, my name is Troublemaker,
And I'm Rangroo.
and this is the ESL November Finals
hmm
with the finalists. And so we have, for the blue color, playing as NATO, we have Sam with Pikachu and Yakkuke.
And on the NATO Op4 side, we have Daywalker, RZ, Right X, and so let's go NATO Op4, NATO Op4. So this is going to be a NATO and NATO map on Optail, and yeah.
Yeah, so we had a patch, and this is our first ESL game since the patch.
hmm
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's not gonna. It seems like there's not gonna really be any reserve infantry spam that we've been seeing a lot last time, due to the fact reserve infantry you can only get in prototype decks. And I do apologise about the barking.
Oh, it's no biggie, I can barely hear it. Uh,
Probably.
yeah, well, I mean, they made the infantry move faster, which is cool,
Mhm.
but they do die very fast now.
Mhm. They made it a lot more standardized, where it's a lot more easier to tell what type of infantry is rot now in this patch. So I'm really looking forward to this match to see the changes in the metagame that has unfolded at the moment.
I've been playing around a lot myself, and infantry spam is pretty well dead.
Mhm.
Um, I just it's been very unsuccessful with me. Spam in general seems to be pretty dead.
Mhm.
You have to almost have a combined arms now.
To really take any ground. But speaking of these guys' units, you have a lot of Gazelle cannons from both sides. Like if you look at Daywalker on the top right, he has a lot of Gazelle cannons and some Cobras all mixed up, and that really seems to be his aggressive force.
Yeah, a little mini all in to begin. There's also some
Mhm.
Gazelle cannons on the western flank as well, with a little bit of AA helicopters mixed
Mhm.
in. I guess this is kind of must be like a new semi metagame.
Mhm.
Just a semi all in to start off.
Mhm. Gain as much ground as you can with what you got. Yeah, it seems like NATO's going a lot more land force, or the guys down in the southern sector are going a bit more land based. And they are getting some cheaper tanks, like for example, Daywalker on the right side and a bloody Foxrayers and Centurions. And I'm starting to see Centurions 84mm being used a lot more now. Because it's a pretty decent, like 15-point tank that gets the job done.
Yes, and there's a lot of cool things going on here. Like these gazelles on the blue side are just hovering over a tree line and just have
hmm
been individually placed here, just so they're all flying to start off.
hmm
He's got
Save a few seconds.
the Puma with the AT in the back, just so that when he selects those and moves them forward, the AT will be the second to arrive, so they don't get
Oh
picked off so
yeah.
easily. A lot of pre-play positioning going on here, working pretty
hmm
well. It's really weird because I think the old metagame was to kind of to race to the points and try and get a position real quick. But that seems to have mostly vanished with it being more about these mini all-ins, I guess.
hmm And the match has begun. On the blue side, Pikachu bringing up two Phantoms to do a napalm run, probably on Bravo Echo side, and Sleska's definitely going in for an all-in on Delta.
Yes, and looks like will the location drops be good? He's actually moved one Phantom
hmm
a little bit,
Oh, he's in a reposition now, just on
try to
the
hit a
area
different
again.
angle.
Ooh,
Loses
I
one.
did see what he's trying to do. Yeah, probably try to get it sideways across the road.
And actually
Oh,
gets a
completely
lot of them.
covering that bridge.
Wow, the timing on this is absolutely amazing. Just knew
Bloody
exactly when these guys would come in.
hell.
And they don't have a choice. They have to run
They
through
have to
this.
go through, yeah. And they're going to take a lot of damage and a lot of morale damage to that little assault, yeah.
So here comes the Gazelle all in. There are two rapiers here to kind of defend this. And the point is taken.
Both sides doing this complete Gazelle all-ins on opposite sides of the map. This is quite interesting, but it seems like Celesca's run is going to get stopped quite easily because Delta is a spawn point. The run down south from Bravo is actually making quite a bit of progress.
Yeah, it looks like it's pushed the forces back enough.
hmm
We'll be able to hold on to Bravo, maintain that area pretty well. There was a pretty big overreaction here by who was this? Pikachu? Yeah, by Pikachu.
hmm
He rallied out a lot more
Oh,
AA than he
yeah.
needed.
That's a lot of AA. Doesn't really have many ground forces, only those sappers really holding that little, like, valley.
And that's one thing that's been severely, severely nerfed, and that's why this helicopter All In is so popular right now is because AA is really bad right now because of supply trucks being so
Oh
limited.
yeah.
Like I'm guessing that's why they do it, because it's really brutal. You can't resupply these things.
Yeah, it's funny because they like indirectly nerfed AA because now supply trucks you get a lot less of them in your deck. Like beforehand you could get like 8 of a certain supply truck. Now you can only get 4 per card. So they're really trying to make you use FOBs now a lot more often. So you actually have to keep your supply trucks alive because it's a valuable commodity that you can't just like throw away after you use it. And that's the kind of games that I'm really trying to get for.
Hasn't really worked for this particular game because it appears neither side actually has a single FOB.
Oh, yeah, actually.
I've seen some games where there's a mix, and I play with a different crowd where some of them say like, well, we'll get one FOB between the three of us, or we'll we'll have one guy with like a ridiculous number of supply trucks in the deck, something along those lines. And this southern flank is very fascinating right now. Just ridiculous numbers of gazelles which are being used super effectively against these infantry.
And just completely shooting them at long range, but practice on Sieksa. I keep thinking they're packed, bringing up some AMX Rolands to scare them off a little bit. And the Skyhawks keep coming in, and they're just going to do constant strafing runs. Great thing about the Skyhawk as well, it reloads so fast. Like, the rearm time for it is amazingly fast. So it seems like you have a lot more than they really do, because it's like 5-10 seconds so it can go in for another run. Like, here comes 2 more. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Brand new abused mechanic for now until they decidedly fix these guys, because when you look at them, they're not actually expending their other gun, which is why they reload so insanely fast. They're only using the one that's like really, really cheap.
And there's only like 16 rockets I use, which isn't a lot in terms of supply, so that's probably right as well. But yeah, that's great, because the Skyhawk is like 45 points, and it's basically a MiG-23 BN, but without the huge ARE. It's a lot more concentrated and great for taking out lightly armored targets and infantry, which you shot a little bit earlier. And AA, because AA doesn't really have armor.
So there was a little bit of bleeding happening at the bottom, but they've actually moved in a VAB PC, which seems to be the command of choice for both sides, actually. I think it's a French command.
Yeah, it's Le Francais.
Yeah. So score slightly in the lead for Shazbots, but that could change very quickly. The Corsair came in and he actually moved the VAB PC away just in time.
Yeah, the Corsair's gonna get shot down.
But he will be able to move back in.
Oh, wow, Dave Walker's using starships.
Yeah, that is really weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. Starships aren't really a popular unit. This is the run with this isn't the one with a 20mm. It has the 50 cal machine gun. This is bizarre.
Yeah, I've seen them a little more often. Like, I think they're kind of acting as a hybrid anti-air, anti-infantry type tank, and not a lot of success with them, but they do push away the air really well.
Indeed. No, he's even using M60A runs. Wow, this is some very interesting tank choices. Very interesting.
Lots of experimentation going on, trying to figure out what's going to be the new mega deck.
But yeah, definitely using a lot more cheaper tanks, Dave Walker and Sieksa. They're not really focusing on the super heavy, like, just get Leopard 2s and M1A1 Abrams, which was before. They're getting these more cheaper, more expendable tanks that can take a beating and, do a bit of damage as well. Those Centaurians are pretty good. They do have 8 armor for a 15-point tank that can at least survive one shot from a few guns.
But it looks like that Centurion should die relatively soon. I mean, this Huey is picking at it with a little anti-infantry cannon and is just not doing the job.
They're trying to take out the acres, which are moving up into that little farmstead, yeah. Osiesko's going to bring up some Fusiliers to stop him. Oh, we do have some AAO from Pikachu, some AMX-13 and yours is completely a unit you never see again. These AMX-13s using
Down the
for
line. I think they're a vehicle as well.
no, yeah, that's a support run. That's the AMX-13.
Maybe I was reading that wrong. I remember on the forum there's a discussion about this particular vehicle. I can't remember. Yeah, I think it was they want it to be in the vehicle section.
Yeah. I do see where you're getting at, you know. But yeah, SAMX-13, it's like a 20-point French AA unit, cannon as you can say. It doesn't have amazing range, but it's pretty accurate because it does use a radar gun. So it's very interesting seeing its use, and not the whole Mortar 2, Mortar 2 Roland and Roland Run spam that you used to see earlier.
And a lot of aircraft going out here for the non-NATO Op 4, the random blue NATO, just losing a lot of aircraft here. So this might have some indication for later in the game. Considering that they've been able to stabilize that bottom, it's now split 50-50.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They can't get randomly picked off in the back anymore. Both sides seem to have a ridiculous amount of anti-air, and this could come down to tanks at this point.
I think it's definitely going to be battle for ground forces, and it does seem like Sieksa is going to be moving up a little bit. He's moving up a lot with some Centaurians in that forest. I'm wondering if they're going to treacher through no man's land and try to get to the other side of Bravo.
And he's also got his starships in a nice little arc here, been slowly moving them up.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of testing the range with empty vehicles. And once it dies, you know, it's like, well, that's my safe spot, and then he moves them up again.
I would like to note that both sides really bring out the Corsairs and Phantoms for their bombing runs. Never mind, here comes some F-16s, fighting Phantoms, and they're going to be dropping on the clusters on that VABCV, but it isn't going to get out of here safe and sound.
Actually, these arcs are getting really good. The starships are finally winding up to do some damage. Might be wasting ammunition.
Yeah, a little bit, it seems. Yeah, but Sieksa managing to treacher through no man's land into the forest. I do like to note how he does have all his Fusiliers spread out in a run-man squad instead of keeping them in one big pile. A bit more spread out so they won't get affected by ARE. I do like that play quite a lot.
And he's being very cautious. He has his troops on just the edges of the napalm. So, like, he is playing this absolutely perfectly right now.
Yeah, he's doing a very good job. Joe Pikachu's bringing up some more reinforcements. Quite a lot more infantry. And, like, whole 6 squads of Fusiliers. Try and deal with these other Fusiliers which are being used. I wonder if there's any significant reason why you use the Fusiliers as the main infantry, not anything else.
A lot of these guys are also, they seem to be kind of sentimental. That's one thing I have noticed with this game. A lot of sentimental players. A lot of people actually play the French national deck for no better reason than it's the French national deck. And we are French. So there's lots of small little battles happening all along the south. The north has been mostly pretty dead. Usually, in the old metagame, there was a battle for the mountain that just hasn't happened at all.
And the crossroads at intersection as well, which has been completely untouched by the Savages' rule.
It's been all about dominating this middle location here, and just constant spam of cheap tanks and infantry coming in. Really just wants to get these... all these tanks are these Skyhawks, though. Dear God, just got 2 big kills with the Skyhawks.
Yeah, I think Pikachu and Yakkuke kind of has the air advantage at the moment. If you look at like Sieksa's AA situation, he doesn't have anything else anymore. All he has is like one Avenger, and oh God, he is bringing out a Prowler and Corsair to try to knock out Yakate's AA. Yeah, they do get shot down in a hail of missiles.
Ooh. Yeah, this AA network's getting pretty brutal, but Red just keeps pushing up. The Shazbots keep pushing up, and if they can make enough ground, they're very close to the VABPC right now.
Very close.
They don't have to do too much more to get this location theirs, and if they grab this just for a few seconds, they could just win this. It's such a low points game right now.
Yeah, oh yeah, Skyhawk run. But yeah, it's Sieksa and DWR. They definitely have the ground advantage at the moment. Definitely. Well, Pikachu and Yakkuke sticking with their old, like, napalm and just bomb the crap out of the enemy players, which they are quite used to doing.
And
Both
they're
sides.
not nearly as effective as they would have used to been. That's one big thing to know. Like they're killing a lot of stuff with them, and they're not losing a lot of their stuff. But at the same time, they're losing ground.
Yeah, they're
A
using an
lot.
awful lot of ground at the moment. There's Starships at the very good edge of our road, just picking off APCs that do try to get close with their Slinger ATGM. Skyhawk coming in.
What will he target down? Maybe the Centurion?
Oh, oh yeah, Bradley. Oh!
God.
This explosion is making it may seem small, but it's just a perfect line of just.
And just the ridiculous amount of napalm here. This entire jungle area has been covered. I don't see him pushing too much more, but having said that, there's also a cooldown on those napalms, so who knows?
Who knows indeed, but both sides, they're both napalming it. They're both mutually agreeing that this forest here should just not be belong to anyone and just burn it to the ground.
Mutually assured napalm. The command goes down, by the way. That is huge.
Oh, that is huge indeed.
So there's gonna some bleeding to begin here for for Sam. We'll start bleeding at points, and they got to get a commander here very, very quickly.
Very quickly indeed. F-16. Oh, that is gonna bomb the Leopard tray for it. Yeah, it's getting resupplied. They walk out season and supply chain resupplies forces. So.
Will run out of supply trucks very, very quickly at this rate, though. Needing actually 2 Jupiters to fill up a single Martyr Roland and Amex Roland. Like, that's how bad it is right now. They're gonna feel the hit of not having a FOB very, very soon.
Yeah, both sides are probably going to run out of supplies very fast, I have to say, because it's the whole FOB situation.
Oh yeah, well I think it works really, really well for Shazbots right now because they're using a lot of cheaper units.
Yeah.
And they don't really, they're not relying on veterancy to win battles.
Or AA in that matter, because Yakkuke and all of that, they're bringing out a lot of AA, and they have an awful lot. They have to constantly keep supplying all those missile baits, AA launchers, to try and shoot down the enemy planes. Speaking of AA, Shazbot could really get some, because those Skyhawks are completely wrecking them. It's constant, just bombing runs with giant rockets of death.
It's definitely something that's on the ladder, on the massive metagame right now, and someone's going to have to find a solution to these mass Skyhawks, because right now they're just devastating.
Absolutely. Absolutely indeed.
He's been able to push them back. The command is no longer in place, milking out this position, and their position's coming back. So right now, it looks like Sam has actually made a little bit of a comeback here, able to re-grab this position, and might even allow for some bleeding to happen.
That would be quite good. And Yakkuke just completely napalming the crap out of Shazbot's forces, and here comes the Skyhawks, this constant threat from above.
The cost effectiveness of this unit, I'm certain that someone at UGen Systems just knows, like, there's something really, really wrong here. But also has these super antennas circling around. The second they spot a target, they'll just pretty much automatically fire on it.
It's a very powerful missile. Basically, one hit kills anything in game.
And they both also know that the other has no FOB. They're both aware because they're throwing their supply trucks at each other. Their supply vehicles, making them waste extra ammunition. God, that Intender just sniped a leopard just so easily.
Yeah, very good sniper. Actually managed to hit the side armor, it seems, which managed to get it the kill.
And this is starting to look very, very brutal for the Shazbots as they're just getting eaten away.
They completely lost their momentum now. They're starting to get pushed back as you Pikachu is starting to counter attack, and just it's the napalm, man, just napalm everywhere. And that's really been stopping Shazbot from really gaining any ground.
And they've been losing these AA like crazy.
Yeah.
Just because these attacks have been just too brutal. And might actually lose this center bottom position here.
And that would not be good one bit.
Not at all. I do like to see the Bradley CFB though. Gives me warm, tinkly memories. It used to be the most overpowered unit in the game, it was. As the Fusilia Rush comes in, and you know, like I like Pikachu and Yakkuke, but they don't quite have the finesse of Sieksa and Daywalker. They're gonna run straight through the napalm, take some damage just so they can kind of grab that position.
They absolutely don't care about their units and moves. They got to do what for, right?
Might be able to still push through though, and might be able to kill off the remains of this Centurion. It's only got 1 hit point left.
We have a Nighthawk coming out from Daywalker, bringing in the big guns. He is gonna knock out. Didn't seem like he knocked out anything, to be honest.
I think the Nighthawk just died.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because the Nighthawk is kind of one of those really powerful endgame bombers. Here comes another Corsair. Gonna do a little more napalm in this location.
Gonna cause Bradley to lose its line of sight. And basically, Shazbot, all they have left holding the Bravo flank is of Bradley, 2 Starsits, and Leopard Tray 4.
Yeah, and I mean, this command here, it's in a completely burnt out forest, and they know. They have
yeah, they definitely know. They say it just at the right time. They place down markers right on top of it.
Because they napalmed the other location that it could potentially be. It wasn't there. So it's like, well, okay, so now I know where it is. So they're going to go ahead and napalm that right away.
Right it goes. Yeah, that DAB being caught right in the fire is going to die a slow, painful death. It
was almost dead in the first place. So they've been whittling that one away for a while. And now the bleeding has completely begun.
Yeah.
They need to do some crazy stuff right now because they're in a lot of trouble.
They are bringing up a lot of Centaurians and some Starships, so this could be the counter-attack they're all trying to. There is a lot of infantry spreaded around now. It seems like Fusilia has been a real popular choice.
Gonna provide some pretty cheap anti-tank flanking here, trying to get into these buildings to not die, but that is just not going to be the case. Infantry is so weak out in the open now.
They're just going to get picked off. And I think actually Shazbot could actually counterattack. Like his first forest, which is closer to him, doesn't have too much. Like a few AMXs and a few infantry in it, yeah? There's not really much here to stop him if they just move up with tanks, except for the F-16 flying like Falcon, which is going to drop a lot of cluster bombs on top of them, doing a bit of damage. I forgot about the air power.
The air power has been just dominating. They've been very cost effective. They didn't kill anything there, they didn't stun anything there, so let's continue moving on. But once those Skyhawks and the Super Antendards and the Nighthawks and all these massive bombers show up again, it's not even that many tanks, truth be told. It's only like 4 or 5 of them.
And that Lynx Toe 2 at quite a long range. I really like the position of that Lynx Toe 2. It's in a perfect range to snipe stuff that comes out of Echo and just completely open him like a can of sardines.
Oh, a bit of metaphoricalism there, is it?
That's how I'm going to play, but the AMX Roland is going to shoot down the sardine can opener as it falls down to a fiery death.
So lots of tanks coming out. They have another command sitting in Echo, waiting for the opportunity. They really just want to push that forest region and then pull the command in. Because right now they're on the verge of just completely losing it. They're at 85 points, which is that's like 15% or so. And it's not one of these situations where like, oh yeah, they can come back because this, that. No, it's just not the case. This is a do or die for them, and they've been rallying out a lot of very expensive tanks now.
They got some M101 Abrams. They brought out another Bradley, which I would like to note. They're actually using Bradleys. Like they've been buffed a lot more now because they have a TOW2 missile, which is bloody amazing. So I really like seeing these Bradleys being used. And I also just like saying about Bradley.
Well, it's just such a really overpowered combination. A recon with a rocket launcher. Like, there's something really unfair about that.
And the great autocannon, the Beastmaster. It's just great at knocking out light armor, helicopters, and anything that doesn't have more than 2 blocks of armor. I do like how Dave Walker's actually moving his starships around this open southern side of this map to try and snipe stuff at long range instead of using them at a more closer range.
It's really weird that they both actually have these supply helicopters, but they don't have FOBs.
Yeah, it is a bit weird. Like, supply helicopters, I think they're not cost efficient in terms of supply to price ratio. Yeah, not all that good, but from supply to actually getting to the FOB and flying back, yeah, try they make moolah.
Yeah, like, it's just really weird.
It's really weird.
I have a feeling that one of these sides is playing with a deck that they made for something else. Maybe one of each on the sides. I don't know, but it's really weird how people have been experimenting with the game and seeing what works.
Yeah, Superchunks out of a supply now, so it's basically useless. That's like a 60-point supply helicopter now. That's pretty expensive.
But I guess money is no matter for these guys. Roll around in their 500 euros.
If they win the tournament.
I think both of these teams have taken a first place finish this month.
Yeah, I believe so as well.
So they're both bowling around with 200 euros, which is 200 Canadian and 200 American.
Just a little bit of skirmishing on the Bravo point, long range. Bradley's standing those suppers. Also, I'd like to note, napalm infantry being used now. Just not even like the ferrobomic napalm launchers, but actually like the napalm, flamethrower.
Yeah, I know what a flamethrower is.
Yeah, I really like it now because flamethrowers are a lot better because they do HE damage now. So they're absolutely killer against infantry. Absolutely killer. If they get into the short range, which flamethrower does have.
Yeah, I mean, it's the place where they're most useful are on maps that have very large town centers where you can kind of sneak them in while they're attacking someone else and just napalm them.
Also, the great thing about it, if you keep them in the inner part of a town, not exposed to the outside, and enemy infantry land in a sector which is on the outskirt, you can just completely napalm them as they come in, and then just constantly do that. Now it makes them so great. And speaking of napalm, courses galore, dropping an awful lot on the infantry in the Bravo forest as well as in the Bravo town. Skyhawk coming in, doing a bit of a bombing run on a Bradley.
Looks like there's a starship there, actually. That went down.
I think actually he's got both. I think he got the Bradley and the starship, actually.
He's just that good. And both sides actually got ridiculous amounts of AA, which is why we haven't seen these planes for a while.
Yeah.
They haven't been used on their cooldowns just because they have a lot of AA now. And that kind of shows they both lost probably all of their planes there.
Yeah.
I mean, this is getting pretty damn close to the all-in point where there's no return. They reacquired their VAB PC location. They have to push forward, knock out their command, and then sit there for a long time.
Yeah, they have like 14 minutes left on the clock now, and they have like 115 points to catch up to. So it could be a great neck-on-neck situation. And
let me think, the crossover time, if they don't do it by 5 minutes, that's it. That's the end. They lose. So they have very, very little time. They have basically 8 minutes to win this.
Yeah, and that's not a lot of time when you really consider it as this Wargame. and units do move quite slow.
Well, and that there's also layers of defense that these guys have. They don't just have all their forces at the front and push. They have their first layer of vehicles and infantry, their second layer of tanks, their third layer of infantry, their fourth layer that will arrive after the fact. They have a lot to go through, and not a lot to do it with. We're going to have to see some pretty insane cost effectiveness from these guys. Which it doesn't look like they're getting, because these anti-tank gun positions are just so good.
Yeah, they're just all surrounded around the forest and on the outside as well. Like ATGM Mylan 2s, if you notice on the southern side of Bravo, just completely holding that road down, making sure nothing comes down here. As you'll see, as it shoots that Centurion in the face. Yep. Oh, that's he misses.
Yes, that's the unfortunate problem with the Sacklows. The second they lose visibility, the rocket spirals out of control, and well, it can hit anything.
Go ahead, sorry.
It can hit anything. That's the or nothing.
Hits a nearby cow just grazing in the field.
I mean, there are some people with some pretty ridiculous kill lists on the forums, and they're definitely worth reading every single one of them, because there are people who have like Milans with like 50 kills, and 5 of those kills are jet fighters. Because the Sacklows accidentally hits an air unit.
Yeah. That's like if you like drop a Nighthawk bomb and then have a plane fly over just when it detonates, you'll most likely destroy the plane.
Yeah, I saw that happen to a bunch of helicopters in a game not too long ago, and I didn't know about that until I saw that, and so I went to the forums and said, like, well, you know, what's going on here, and someone else had the exact same problem, apparently.
But yeah, Sieksa definitely lost a lot of units in the outer, so he's managing to hold on to that little right side of the forest in Bravo. You know, there's just so many tanks from Pikachu. He has like between Pikachu and Yukazi, he has like 3 Leopard 2A4s. And those aren't tanks to mess around with.
And I mean, a lot of these big tanks that he's had for a lot of the game. And, you know, they haven't been getting veterancy like they used to, because we're not in that world where we can just kind of waste ammunition anymore. But they have been getting up 1 or 2 ranks. So they're not young pups by any means.
Indeed, indeed. Yeah, this is definitely going to be a very tough nut to crack, especially if these tough nuts now being used. Yukazi and Pikachu's and supply helicopters to resupply once again. Oh
god, we have some napalm being carried in by pumas. How bizarre is this world we're living in?
Bloody hell, mate. Bloody hell. Yeah, the puma's gonna land and make sure they get to their destination.
Oh, Air Canada.
Yes, still nothing happened on top, like absolutely nothing. Both sides completely ignoring that, constantly focusing on Bravo. I think it would also be a good idea. Maybe they can try Delta. Like they haven't really, you know, attempted that possibility yet, because that could be a pretty good possibility, because they wouldn't expect it. An assault on Delta.
I mean, there wasn't even any resistance here.
I know.
From either side.
Just both sides set up units and say, have at it. Enjoy your nap.
But I guess both are actually playing the meta game, and which is the bottom all inning. So I kind of see why they're doing it. Just at least try with a couple of units, test the waters.
Recon.
Yeah, even 1 recon from blue actually would have done ridiculous amounts of damage, because there's not much up there from red.
Yeah, it's not even like any ground forces except for like 2 M60s and just a few A units all scattered around. I mean, they could easily just break through Gulf if they wanted to. And that would definitely secure them the match.
It looks like Sam's actually moving up with even more units, and is actually might recapture that forest again. Which is a pretty big death blow.
There's super heavy tanks shooting at sappers and riflemen in that forest one at a time. So, and there's some Taurians which are moving up, because Daywalker and Sieksa are using very cheap tanks you can get picked off at long range by his Jaguar 2s and all these ATGMs and heavy tanks that Sam actually currently owns. Making it quite hard for him.
So yeah, the news is sort of out on the 3v3 tournament that's coming up. They
That's what the DLC when that comes out, right? That tournament?
Yeah. They're trying to finish up Clash of the Clans, which has been really hard to do because of ESL. And the new tournament will be a 3v3 tournament. You know, we've been aware of this for a while. And yeah, I don't know when they're going to do signups, but I mean, if there's anyone out there that's interested in doing a 3v3 community tournament, signups will be coming sooner rather than later.
So get some friends.
Yeah, that's hard. That's easier said than done, my friend. Good God.
You do have a point, yeah.
Getting one friend is hard enough. Getting two friends? Dear God.
Oh, I know. That's bloody crazy talk right here. Absolute crazy talk. And now Ikazi is actually going to start counter-attacking into the little right side of the Bravo Forest, which has been completely bombed to hell. Good God, this is dead things everywhere. I think it's not even really a forest anymore, except for like the 3 trees that are still standing left to written towards the walls. And yeah, girls, I think Shazbot is going to be surrendering now.
Whenever I see people moving up their forces like this, I just imagine the back of their heads are yelling, "Get out!"
And Yat is Yat. Sam winning the match, gaining the €500.
Yeah, boy. And there's no word yet on ESL. There was another month scheduled, but they canceled it because of exams and Christmas. So no word yet on January. We're assuming it's coming back, but not entirely sure.
We definitely hope so. So yeah, December cancelled, so no ESL for December. So this is going to be our last ESL for the year, technically.
Yeah, this is our last one for the year. And in the new meta, which is always good, and I imagine when we come back in January, things will be crazy different.
Indeed, yes, but especially for new DLC units. Seeing them being used to be quite cool.
I think they're mostly clones.
They got to save for the modelling costs.
So, yeah, what do you have going on at your channel?
Not much. Just been continuing doing the Wargame AirLand Battle cast and all of that in the unit of the Reek. So yeah, if you want to check it out, Rangroo cast.
Okay, well I guess that's it for the week. My name is Troublemaker.
And I'm Rangroo.
And
take it easy.
Bye.
Doing a very good job just pushing up into Foxtrot. I'm quite impressed. Over here, how the hell did this happen? Seems like they just managed to move all the way down this road.